So initially, when Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett was announced, of course, it came with some type of backlash because of the whole setting, right? First of all, there is a number one contender, Amr Taryukin. So when Ilya Topuria announced he wasn't going to be able to fight anymore, with his breakup with his wife and whatever is going on over there, as true fans, UFC and MMA fans, everybody cried and complained, whined. But the fact of the matter is, this is actually a banger of a fight. All right. And I think, you got to move on. It's actually a good card. All right. Of course, Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes fell off, which is really unfortunate because I cannot remember the last time I was that excited for a WMMA matchup. But with that being said, still a good card. You got to take a look at Paddy Pimblett's resume and ask yourself, does he really deserve it? And I think the answer is obvious. Same thing with Justin Gaethje. He's done everything in the lightweight division. One of the best fighters in the lightweight division ever. But this is his second interim shot. And his last few wins, not really that consistent. So there's a reason to not like this for a belt, but it's a good fight. If you take a look at Paddy Pimblett's record, he came into the UFC and it was obvious this was like some type of new future poster boy. The UFC liked him, his character, everything. And he's a fun fighter, all right? It took a while for him to win me over, but he definitely did. Being undefeated because obviously everyone knows the horrible robbery he had against Jared Gordon, but he's still undefeated in the UFC. And when you look at his record, right, of course, Paddy Pimblett is a finisher, but he's been put in this position where he has shown that he does have real skills and he keeps looking better each time. But every single opponent he's faced up until Justin Gaethje has some type of hysterics. In fact, Justin Gaethje might have an hysteric as well, but we'll get into that later. He fights a washed up Tony Ferguson. If we're being honest, this was 2023 Tony Ferguson. He was already on a horrible losing streak by then. The inevitable happened. And then his next opponent, Bobby Green, a good challenge, but still, Bobby Green is old, way past his prime. No disrespect, still a fun fighter. It was a good win, but it's not a win that says, hey man, this guy is ready to be top 5, if we're being honest. And then, of course, we got Michael Chandler, who is turning into a Tony Ferguson right now, honestly speaking. He wasted his time begging for the fight with Conor. And speaking of, someone needs to check on Michael Chandler because apparently Dana White said, nah, Chandler versus McGregor is not happening. But I digress. So you get my drift here. Paddy's record is good, all right? It's decent, but not, oh yeah, he's ready for the belt type decent. But on the other hand, when we look at Justin Gaethje's record, right? Of course, the highlight. If you're a UFC fan, if you're an MMA fan, of course you know Justin Gaethje. Of course you do. Highlight reel, finisher as well, fantastic striker. But recently, it's fair to say he's been he's past his prime as well. Look, I always talk about Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, Max Holloway. Those guys, I'll miss them when they're all gone, man. For real, that's an era in the UFC. But I digress. A lot of people take the fight with Max Holloway as some type of evidence that Justin Gaethje's chin is gone, and I really disagree. That's one thing people are getting wrong with this. I don't think Justin Gaethje's chin is gone. I don't think so. All right. What happened in that fight against Max Holloway, let's not forget, it wasn't a very fun fight. It was probably the best knockout ever, but it wasn't a very fun fight up until that moment. And in that moment, there was no technique. There was no planning. They just went in swinging and banging. That's the whole point of pointing into the octagon. All right. Forget the rules. Let's just go out for the fans. And he got caught. That's what happened there. All right. Now, I'm not saying he can't be knocked out or anything like that. I'm not saying that. But I think a lot of people take that moment as what it actually isn't. All right. Anyway, since then, Justin Gaethje defeated Rafael Fiziev for the second time. And Fiziev is seen as someone who is supposed to be coming up from the new generation. So it was like the old Unk beating the prodigy, whatever. Good win. But again, not a win that is so convincing to say, man, Justin Gaethje has another shot to fight for the belt. Like, nobody wanted this. Justin Gaethje is defined by pressure striking, heavy leg kicks, and wrestling roots. Justin Gaethje does have wrestling roots. A lot of people forget that he actually came from a grappling background, but he fell in love with his hands and feet, but it's worked out for the most part for him, right? Now, he does prefer a firefight, and I still think that Justin Gaethje still has a decent chin. Again, he got caught with Max Holloway. It is what it is. I think he still has a decent chin, but of course, there is a little decline. He's older now. He's a little bit slower. His output is still consistent, but in my opinion, he doesn't have that much volume. But he's not lacking. Don't get me wrong. He's not lacking with the volume. I think Justin Gaethje's output is just good enough, especially for this fight. Now, Paddy Pimblett, on the other hand, a dynamic striker, all right? Say what you want. There are a lot of things you can criticize Pimblett's striking is, but he's decent. I think he can hold his own a little bit against Justin Gaethje, but if he stays on the field, of course, Gaethje does have the advantage. But when it comes to the ground, it's an entirely different story. Paddy Pimblett's jiu-jitsu is really good on. He's good on the ground. He's not someone you don't want to be there, all right? And especially now that he's filling into his form. This matchup will be Gaethje's relentless forward pace and leg kicks versus Paddy's creative striking and jiu-jitsu escapes. That's what it's going to be. Gaethje will try to grind the pace while Pimblett will look to create angles and find a finish. I think Paddy Pimblett is going to win this fight by submission. Now, I'm not counting Justin Gaethje out. He has a clear path to victory. If he really stays on the leg kicks and stays consistent with his volume, he'll be able to keep Paddy at a distance and wear his legs out when it comes to grinding him to take him to the ground. But I think Paddy will figure it out. I really think that's what's going to happen. Now, I just think the UFC is going to get what they wanted. They wanted Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Topuria because that fight is going to sell a lot. And Dana White already confirmed the winner of this fight is facing Ilia Topuria. And I believe they want it to be Paddy. And I think that's going to happen. Paddy Pimblett by submission. The co-main event, of course, we have Sean O'Malley versus Song Yadong. This is a very interesting matchup right here. Sean O'Malley, highly technical, precision striking, creative kicks and angles. Not as strong in the wrestling. I think we've seen enough evidence to say, yeah, you know, you're not a good wrestler, right? Just stick to your game plan. Now, Song Yadong is explosive, versatile striker with sharp counters, and he does have power. This is a striker versus striker. O'Malley's movement and timing against Song's aggression. Likely a stand-up firework. I think this is a banger of a fight. I did see pictures of O'Malley training with Izzy, and I was like, you know what? These guys can learn a lot from each other. I think that's a good mindset for O'Malley. But yeah, I'm going to go with O'Malley here, in my opinion. He's faced more, I wouldn't say dangerous, but more experienced opponents than Song Yadong. No, not saying anything about Song Yadong. This is a 50-50 fight in my opinion. I think O'Malley's just a little level above. I think he's faster. I think he's more dynamic with his striking. If Song Yadong wants to mix it up, I don't think his grappling is that good enough to overpower O'Malley. O'Malley's grappling is not good, but I think he can handle his own when it comes to that aspect, even though I think this is going to be a stand-up swing and bang. But I'm going to go with O'Malley by decision. Next, we have Waldo Cortez Acosta versus Derek Lewis. This is a banger of a fight. Man, I don't see this fight going to a finish. Someone's getting knocked out. Derek Lewis, if not the highest knockout in the UFC, definition of a knockout artist against Waldo Cortez, who is on a pretty amazing streak right now, and he's making his name in the heavyweight division. Always been a fan of Waldo Cortez. A lot of people used to call him boring, but now he's switching fans over, and it's good to see. Now, Cortez is your younger heavyweight with athleticism and long range. This guy is really active, and he moves more fluid than someone who looks like him. All right, forget what I'm saying. Derek Lewis, one punch knockout power, of course, classic brawler. This is gonna be where Lewis will look for the big right hand. That's pretty much all he does, even though he's been looking in shape. All right, Derek Lewis looks like he's been preparing for this fight in a very good way, so I do have to mention that. But on the other hand, Cortez Acosta, he's gonna use his movement and volume to avoid danger. I think he has shown to be able to avoid danger. Of course, nobody knocks out people like Derek Lewis, but Cortez has survived knockout artists, all right, people that could put his light out. I mean, look at his last fight. Yeah, I think he's shown his chin, even though in my opinion that might be worse for him because they've loosened his chin a little bit. He has taken some damage, all right, he's taking some clean shots. He shouldn't repeat that mistake with Lewis. He's gonna go lights out, but I think he knows that. I think he's gonna be able to keep his distance and just apply that volume and, you know, find his opening somewhere. But I fear a little bit Lewis might be able to trick him to think that he's about to get knocked out, and then Cortez will go in for a finish, and then Lewis not lights out. That's a classic Lewis style. Derek Lewis is taking out these upcoming guys, and Acosta might be the next, but I'm gonna go with Acosta by a knockout. Next fight, we got Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas. Man, Natalia Silva, aggressive, hard throwing striker with improving grappling. She's really quick. Rose Namajunas, on the other hand, former champ with elite striking, good feints, timing, and submissions. This is going to be Silva's pressure versus Namajunas' technical, elusive striking. Very likely a chess match on the feet with takedown feints. Now, prime for prime, man, a few years ago, I would have said, yeah, Namajunas. It would still be a 50-50 fight, but I'm a fan of Silva, man. She's really quick, she's very slick, and she goes with the volume. And you're not just going to be standing in front of her. And the thing I like about her striking is she doesn't like throw one shot. It's always a combination, always a follow-up. And secondly, whenever she's on the receiving end, she always gets her lick back. Always. She doesn't let anything slide. And I think that's where she has an advantage against Rose Namajunas. Rose is willing to take some shots and then adjust and then, you know, make up for it. Natalia Silva, you hit her, just know something is coming back, and I think she just has that speed advantage. I'm gonna go with Silva by a decision. Next fight, we got Arnold Allen versus Sean Silva. This is a great card, man. This is a very fun card. Man, Arnold Allen, technical boxer, wrestling style hybrid. He's a well-rounded fighter, all right? He has a good balance between his striking and his grappling, and that's a very good thing to have. But he's in a unique case where I'll be like, he's too balanced with it. I'm gonna need Arnold Allen to either get better with his striking or get better with his wrestling. Something needs to, but he's a good fighter. Now he has that composed striking style, good movement, strong takedown defense. Sean Silva, on the other hand, heavy hitter. All right, highlight reel guy right here. Big fan of Sean Silva. Nearly all his wins by stoppage. Dangerous finishing instincts. This is going to be precision versus power. Allen's structure and defense against Silva's explosive offense. Allen needs to stay composed and avoid big shots, and I think that will be his path to victory. But 3 rounds is a lot of time for Silva not to get his KO. Of course, coming off a loss to Diego Lopez, Sean Silva is going to be looking to make up for that. I'm gonna go with Sean Silva by a knockout here. I think he's just way more aggressive and probably faster. And honestly speaking, I think he's just as well-rounded as Arnold Allen, all right? I don't think you can fight in a composed way against Sean Silva. Allen needs to bring out the dog in him, which I know he has, all right? He handles tough fights, right? His fight against Movsar, that was a tough fight. So I think he can pull it off. I think he can pull it off, but he's not going to win this fight being composed, you know, balancing. Nah. Silva is an animal, a madman. I think he's going to finish Arnold Allen, if I'm being honest. Now, if you want the full card breakdown, make sure you subscribe to this channel as I go live every week to break down the entire card. Don't forget to like this video if you like this video. Peace.